Hello and welcome to your free workshop from Two Red Robins featuring the Blossom Boutique die collection. And what's really exciting moving forward, we're going to be bringing you a lot more free workshops as well. So lots more techniques, lots more inspiration. So while you're on our YouTube channel, please don't forget to subscribe and notify so you can be kept up to date with all the latest details. So I thought for this workshop, rather than giving you like a whole card design, what I'm going to create for you are the steps on how we create something a little bit different. So this is a topper featuring some of the cadence elements, but a way of creating a lovely mirrored background for your frames. And then we're going to adorn it with our flowers as well. So first things first, I'm taking a sheet of our construction acetate. And I've got one of the frames that featured alongside Blossom Boutique, ready cut, ready to go. To make it super easy to cut out an area of the construction acetate to fit with our frame, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of repositionable tape and tape my die cut down onto the surface of my acetate. I'm then going to take my scissors and I'm going to follow the line of the die cut just like so. And what's lovely about this is it makes it super easy. You don't have to be super neat. We're just going around. That tape is holding the die cut in place just so we can then make sure whatever we cut out will sit nicely behind that die shape. Okay, so just following that around with the scissors. I say, don't need to be neat at this stage. It's just to give you that fill for the inside of the frame, like so, okay? From here, what we could do is, of course, go onto this straight away with our cadence paints and things like that, but I wanted the effect of like a really worn mirror, almost like this sort of mirror on the wall design. So I'm going to grab my sanding block, and what we're going to do is just rough up the surface of that construction acetate to give it a little bit of key, but also to give it a really nice distressed look. Now I'm just using a little sanding block here. It's quite a gritty one. It says 80 on it, so I think that's quite gritty. But it's just in those circular motions over the top of one side of the construction acetate. So this is just giving you that distressed, worn surface. It's taking away that high shine. And it's going to give us a lovely surface which we can then create this worn, old kind of mirrored effect design onto as well. So just circular motions. We don't want to go in and kind of give it sort of straight lines because they would be quite obvious. This circle effect just gives you something a little bit different. And we can wipe away any excess of the sand there as well, okay? From there, what we can start doing is adding in our detailing, adding in our paints. So what I went ahead and done is choose a selection of cadence paints. I wanted to go for something which was kind of rusty, kind of old, antiqued effect. So here I am using dark brown, I am using Soho, and also cashmere as well. So it could be any paints you've got in your collection, just something nice and kind of rusty and old looking. I'm also going to be working on the surface of a little piece of scrap plastic there, something I can use as a palette and then basically just throw away afterwards as well. So I'm going to just dab out a little bit of each one of the paints onto the surface. Again, just minimal amount, maybe like a pea-sized amount here. Just a little something to give us this kind of blended effect of the background. And rather than going in with a brush, we're going to go in with a sponge. So I'm going to start with the darkest colour, pick up a little bit on my sponge and just dab away the excess again on that plastic there, and then just go straight onto the background here of my mirror, just in little dabby motions all over in areas. So we're going to give it like a soft line. You don't want anything that's too harsh. You don't want anything that's too obvious here as well. Coming over the edge as well, just covering one side. Same thing again to that top corner, this time maybe a little bit smaller. It's just about laying some of that paint down, okay? Next up, we're going to go in with our next darkest colour. So I'm going to go with cashmere, again dabbing that off. Notice I'm not cleaning the brush off in between, that doesn't matter. And we're just coming over areas whereby we've already added a little bit of paint in and basically blending them through on the acetate itself. A little bit of a dab. And then same thing, not bothering about washing the sponge off in between, taking that lightest tone and coming in just like so. So you've kind of got this balance between the layers on the back of this design. a little bit through the center and up the edge there as well. Okay. From here, if you feel there's any areas that are a little bit patchy or you feel like it wants a little bit more blending, this is where something like your extender comes into play really beautifully. So let's just go ahead. Again, little few drops. It doesn't need a lot, just a little few drops on the side of that plastic and coming in, taking up some of that extender, and we can just start blending and softening those edges. And you see how instantly it gives you this much more subtle tone, nice blend through the lines there. We can even come in with a clean area of the sponge so we're not picking up any colour at all, and just soften those areas of the paint. This is a lovely sort of mixed media technique. You might want to include something like this on, I don't know, scrapbook pages or home decor pieces for your frames as well. Just giving you that lovely fluid blend. Let's just grab a little bit more of that extender just to soften all of those edges nicely. And of course we are working on, I know we have given it a little bit of key, but we are working on a shiny surface. So this will just take a little bit of a longer time just to go off, just to dry like so. I'll move that just so I can pick it up. And you can see here, you've got that almost like a wash kind of burnish, really distressed feel, really distressed look to it. Once you start working in a little bit more detailing, it is up to you how much detail you want to add on the reverse, but anything whereby you want to soften it, you blend it through, whatever you want, you can go in and add that detailing onto the areas like so. Now, because it's a mirror, you might say, okay, well, that's fine, but I want a little bit of shine to this as well. And we can achieve that in a couple of ways as well. So we can come in with something like one of the Dora paints. This one I'm using is an aqua. Just a little bit of a lovely blue colour to it. And actually I'm going to take the colour just from the lid. And again, dab that out on the surface and then just come in and in areas, just give that little bit of shine. That's going to pick up that wonderful little colour. That's going to pick up that shine. And it gives you this really lovely textural finish to your piece, like so. The last layer that we might want to consider going in with for your little mirror design is something, of course, like your Cadence mirror spray. Now this is a fab product. It's going to give you a lovely high shine finish, even on something like the acetate here. Now I've sprayed this onto the reverse, so we've got the darker colours on the front. We're then coming in with a little bit of a shake and a tiny little spritz in areas for that mirror. Now because it's on that shiny surface, you're going to get a slightly different look to it, and you've also got a little bit of play with it as well. If you want to create the little drops, if you want to sort of just tilt and turn that so you're moving the paint around on the surface, it's going to give you a really unique finish to your design. I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to come back and add that to the frame as well. So we've given that paint just a couple of minutes to dry. It's now ready to be stuck to the reverse of the frame. So to do that, of course, we're still working with a shiny surface. The best recommendation I can give to stick these elements together would be something like a red liner tape. It's a nice strong adhesive tape. It means we can go right in to the layers there, snipping the tape down and making sure we get that nice flat adhesion on the surface. Now this mirror, this frame is going to be adorned with, of course, the florals from Blossom Boutique as well, which is going to look really lovely. So again, if you're creating this kind of weathered, worn look, think to the colours you might want to include from the florals as well. If you want to go high contrast, you know, think to the lovely reds, the lovely crimsons, the lovely scarlets, for example. If you want to go something really soft and delicate, consider changing the distress colours up into something which is a little bit softer as well. I'm just going to burnish that tape down, make sure it's nice and stuck to the frame, and then we're going to bring in that acetate that we created, that mirror shine, that distressed look to as well. Playing around with those different layers, playing around with that sort of mixed media technique is really fun. It gives your pieces a really unique quality, because each time you do this, you're going to get a different effect, which I think is a lot of fun. So I'm just removing the carrier sheet of the red liner tape all the way around here. If you're ever struggling, you can go in with a pokey tool and just lift the corner of the tape. I often find it a little bit easier with that. And then, of course, we can position that over the acetate and stick in place, just like so. And that's going to give us that really fun kind of mirror on the wall, fairy book storyteller idea. But of course we don't want to stop there. Let's bring in those florals, get this a really fantastic, elegant look. So we can use the various florals from Blossom Boutique to frame. Maybe you want something fairly neutral like we were discussing. Go in with the Blossom Bliss and frame your design like so. Maybe you want something a little bit more punchy. I mean, even if you wanted to have just the floral to the center, that gives a really unique backdrop for the design. I love the fact because you're using that acetate, you can still see through. So great if you want to pop this as an aperture for your card design too. But I think for me, I want to go ahead and create a really full effect to these florals. So let's start with our neutrals. Once you've cut them out, shape them and look to the artwork to see which way to bring those petals forward or push them back. So here, just rounding those designs through. This little one, let's tuck that back. And of course, same thing, let's shape those leaves as well. So a little twist and a turn using the poker tool itself. Really lovely. And let's repeat that process on each one of our florals just to give you that really fantastic quality of these kind of springing forward from that backdrop of the frame. I'm not going to stick anything just yet. We're going to work out where these things need to be placed for balance and for our layers. But I think just kind of bringing them around this bottom corner of the frame feels quite fun. For something a little bit more drama, a little bit more detailing, again, works beautifully against that backdrop of that distressed feel to the frame. Let's just pop in some of these carnations as well, because I think they're going to add in a little bit of drama. And we have got another nice neutral colour here from the Lily of the Valley too. So lovely lily design. Just make it a little bit full. You've got those wonderful greens from the leaves there, just making it feel a little bit more detailed, just like so. So popping those in. And of course we can trim these down if we want to as well. Now, of course, I want the emphasis to kind of be on the carnations here. I'd like the detailing to be drawn to these bottom flowers as well. So let's go ahead and create our own decoupage layers for those. I'm going to use my nice sharp scissors and just follow those cut line details of the individual blossoms. So they're going to bring them forward from the backdrop of like the stem and the leaves and things like that, just purely taking the main feature blossoms forwards. And that's going to give you a lovely weight to the bottom of the design where you've got this kind of heaviness coming up and around the mirror. It's going to balance that design just like so. Let's take this larger floral as well. Again, just snipping out, again, just following those cut line details that are already laid down by the die. The scissors tend to just glide through them, which is really handy. Makes it super easy to follow where you want to be taking these elements from. These two little buds, these two little blossoms, they can go to the background with the leaves and things. Let's just concentrate on the florals that are really kind of displayed outright. Like so. Even let's take away this little bit here. Just leave those petals free from the rest of the detailing. And you can sit there. And then for our final one, let's go ahead and take this third little floral at the top as well. Trim that round, again, shaping, making sure we get rid of all the little green bits. They can obviously go in our stash for another day. If you want that extra little bit of detailing somewhere, they would work nice as little tuck-in leaves. And there we go. So those are going to be our decoupage layers. Let's go ahead and start sticking these down. Now again, it is lovely to work with something like a Pinflair glue gel at this stage because it's going to give you that shape, it's going to give you that dimension, but it's also going to give you the ability to just twist and turn these as needed. So a little bit on the bottom and a little bit on those florals there. I've just noticed I need a little pop out there. Just use my poker tool to finish, and let's position that so it's over the frame, and this little stem is just finishing at the bottom of the detail as well. Let's come in with that other cut. Again, just poking out any landlocked bits like so. Just really heighten the detail we've got going on. And a few little squidges of Pinflair. This one, let's tuck that down. Let's be mindful of where that stalk sits. So it looks like it's coming sort of as one piece of floral. Just tucking that in and around. Again, a nice way, because we're using Pinflair, you've got the ability to lift and tuck these designs as needed. I think a little bit of the Lily of the Valley as well. Again, a little bit of Pinflair, just so we know we've got the positioning right on that. And we can always add more Pinflair if needed. And let's come in to the foreground with that as well. A little bit, again, just on the background. So here we're just doubling up, we're layering up, we're just adding that detailing in. And it might be that I come away and just snip those ends as well, because they're protruding through. So let's just gently lift and snip those ends down, rounding them off and just slotting them back into place. So they're in the background, they're just adding that little bit of foliage, that little bit of detailing. And of course that then pop of colour from the carnations is going to sit proud at the front. It's really going to contrast against the rest of those more neutral florals we've got in the backdrop. Again, just lifting and tucking. Don't ever be afraid of overlapping your florals. It all comes together, it all works beautifully. Now I do feel that we probably want a few little carnations down the front here, just to extend the feel of that little bouquet. Like so, and again, shape those through. These ones would be coming forwards towards you, so let's just shape those outright. Keep the Pinflair behind, again, to add into that shaping, and then we can come in and have those poking out from behind, like so. And let's just grab some tweezers. Again, shaping these florals, bringing those petals right forward, really going to town on the shapes these petals are making, so it really makes them stand proud from the design. Find the orientation as we add in the Pinflair and build that decoupage. And of course, decoupage is up to you. Your layers are up to you. If you want to go even further, add in a couple more layers. Really just enjoy the process of finding those layers as well. Bringing each petal forward and then just gently turning them back as well. It gives you a lovely shaping to the design. Let's go in and layer you at the bottom. And one last flower for that shaping. And a little bit of Pinflair on the back. There. And as we said, this could be a home decor piece. You could make several of these kind of designs and then have them all displayed, perhaps in box frames. Maybe you're going to use it as a topper for a card design. Maybe it's going to end up being, I don't know, something with a little stand on the back, and you're going to utilize these for maybe place settings. Lots and lots of different ways of using these. But there we have a finished little piece featuring, of course, Blossom Boutique and those frames that went alongside it as well. Really lovely, lots of detailing there, and of course mix and match the florals to create the frames as you want them to be. I can't wait to see your versions of this. Don't forget to share them in our group, Highlight Crafts Official, and of course, as we've already said, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel to be notified of all new upcoming workshops as well. Thank you for joining me today.
If you would like to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button. Subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications on all our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.